Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. It's Uncle Ben and Hollywood Steve, back for round 2 of this FAQ.
We had so many good questions that we decided to come back for round 2, answer some more of your awesome questions about the show and about our podcast.
And make another cold million YouTube dollars. Once again, most of these questions were submitted to us through our wonderful Facebook fan page or our Instagram pages. Where can they find those, Steve?
Instagram, that's at Dead Lovely Pod.
Indeed it is.
And if you're looking for us on Facebook, we're the Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast Group.
But those aren't your only avenues to ask us questions about horror movies, the podcast, and just really anything in general. Beers and food and all kinds of good stuff.
Sure.
You guys be sure to drop your questions in the comments section below and we will handle them on a future installment. Our first question today comes from the disembodied voice of Tanta Kate. Hit us.
Fern Ayala wants to know, which horror movie villain do you guys think you can survive?
Think that I can survive. Okay.
Okay.
So, I guess if I was going to survive a classic horror movie villain, I'd want to go toe-to-toe with that Freddy Krueger.
Oh, okay.
Because as I've talked about on previous episodes of our podcast, Dead Lovely, I've had many like quasi-lucid dreaming experiences throughout my life. In particular, one repeating dream where I realize I'm in a grocery store and that it's all a dream. And so as I kind of feel the walls of the dream closing in, I kind of it's like destroying the store and tearing it up and like kicking shelves down, all kinds of fun stuff. So I think if I found myself toe-to-toe with one Fred Krueger, I think I would muster up my Dream Master powers and whip his ass.
Wow. Watch out, Freddy Krueger. He's coming for you. Now, Ben, for me, this one's real easy. It's the turkey from Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a turkey.
Shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. He's got the powers to cut off your dad's face and wear it and somehow trick you into thinking that it's your dad, but...
Yeah. It's a silly movie.
It is. And that's why I'd beat that turkey very easily.
Mark S. Peterson wants to know, other than Halloween, as in October 31st, what are some good holiday-themed horror flicks?
Oh, okay.
Other than Thanksgiving, obviously.
Other than Thanksgiving, of course.
There's a lot to choose from.
For my money, Black Christmas is one of the best Christmas horror movies.
Absolutely. So with Margot Kidder.
She's great.
The original slasher predates Halloween.
Yeah. And came out just a week after Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And I believe has been reviewed on our podcast.
It just last Christmas.
I recommend listening to it, then rating and reviewing on iTunes. I don't know.
Good call. That's a good call. Other than that, though, there is, of course, Rare Exports.
You've told me about that one. Yeah.
If you haven't seen Rare Exports, see Rare Exports this holiday season.
If you want to wrap up all holidays in one movie, there is an anthology picture called Holidays. That features, gosh, how many different segments is it? It's like a dozen.
Yeah, there are at least, I'd say about 12. And there are some real weird ones.
There's some extremely weird. The Easter one.
St. Patrick's Day, very strange.
Yeah, very strange. There's some bad ones in there. The Halloween one, weirdly enough, is
it's not great. Yeah,
pretty bad. But then there's some amazing stuff. The Father's Day segment.
Father's Day, starring Jocelyn Donahue.
Yeah, from House of the Devil.
House of the Devil, yeah.
Amazing. You ever heard of Independence Day? I've got to get me one of these.
He already had it. Like, what was he talking? He was flying it at that moment. Yeah, I got to get me the thing I'm in.
Yeah, I have one of these right now. That's what he should have said.
Wilbert Smith, you got things to answer for.
It's a flawed movie, but it is good.
It is really fun, yeah.
Ryan Kerr wants to know, how does the process for picking what you guys want to cover go?
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, that's definitely a good question. It's a little behind the scenes action of that lovely year.
It kind of a little bit goes like this. We come up with an idea for like a month's worth of movies, and then a day before we record, Ben goes, "What are we doing?"
Hey, what about this instead? That's usually how it goes.
You want to do the River Wild?
Obviously, all the time, yeah.
But no, I mean, we talk about just different stuff we've been watching recently, and a lot of it comes down to what's streaming or what we already have on DVD or Blu-ray.
I would say that's a big factor. It's like what whatever just debuted on the streaming platforms. That way our viewers and stuff can watch it, and it's stuff that's going to be relevant to what people are watching. Also, too, another thing is, you know, whenever there's maybe a sequel or a remake that comes out in theaters, we want to try to cash in on them Google searches. Yeah. So we'll do a relevant movie.
We did a Predator this year around the time Predator came out. We did The Conjuring around the time The Nun came out. Yeah. Just stuff that people are talking about at the time. We like to weigh in.
Yeah, definitely.
Check out our Veronica episode to hear us weigh in on that little phenomenon.
And I would say, too, for me, another factor is I listen to several other horror movie review podcasts. This is my chance to plug our friends over at Say You Love Satan and Werewolf Ambulance and Neon Brainiacs. Right. So I listen to those all the time, so I think I try to steer clear of stuff that other people are talking about at that moment, too. That way you don't overlap too much.
And some other horror movie podcasts I listen to are
none, because we're the best.
Range Viper 84 says, favorite death scene?
I would say the first one that comes to mind for me, I really love the rotating room Tina death scene in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That's one of those ones that I still watch and I'm like, how did they do this? You know,
it's so bloody.
It's hard to see what's going on. Yeah,
and just like they spun a room.
Yeah, and I love that. You know, she's screaming and there's no soundtrack, and it makes it so eerie and weird and strange. Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind. I'm sure that there's probably other ones that, you know, I like more, that are more interesting, but that's the first one that comes to mind for me.
I think maybe the meat hook death in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Which I guess technically isn't even a death.
You don't really see it.
Because she's still alive when he takes her off the meat hook and puts her in a freezer.
Yeah.
So maybe a secondary one would be Frank in Hellraiser when he gets ripped up by those chains.
Jesus wept.
That's what he says.
It's pretty weird. It's pretty
Frank's an odd man. I also like Quint's death in Jaws. And some people might claim Jaws isn't a horror movie. Those people are wrong about things.
Stupid.
Yeah, they don't make good choices.
Yeah.
But Quint's death is just
awesome.
It's amazing. He's mad. He's crazy. He's a modern day Ahab, stabbing at the shark as it bites him in half.
It's got blood on his teeth.
All over his teeth. Just a real great moment.
Classic battle of man versus nature. Nature wins. But obviously the greatest death scene in any movie of all time is when Joe Black gets hit by those two cars. That is the greatest. It's so unnecessarily grisly in that movie.
Just like, wait, what?
Why is this here?
What movie were we watching up to this point before this happened? Like, I feel like the movie that should have been happening was a chase scene between those two cars, and that guy just gets thrown up over the hood.
That's the best of all time.
Yeah.
Justin Taylor asks, in the classic horror lineup as listed in Cabin in the Woods, which character would Ben and Steve play? Athlete, whore, virgin, scholar, or fool? And you cannot be the same character.
Can't be the same. Okay.
Wow. So we both can't be the athlete.
Yeah, that's obviously both. A couple of jocks, a couple of sportsmen.
That's us.
Yeah, clearly.
Throwing the pigskin around.
Where do you think you fall in that lineup? I think you're a scholarly son-bitch.
I would say I'd be a scholar, which means I'd be a bit annoying and get killed. But that, honestly, I feel that's where I fit.
So, in that lineup, I think that I would fall into the fool category, as I seek to entertain and have no problem being a moron anywhere, anytime. But you and my wife seem to think otherwise. Where do you think I fall in this?
We feel like you'd be the virgin. The virgin, in this sense, is not necessarily a person who hasn't had sex. It's just a person who's very nice and kind.
Aww.
Yeah. And that's
me?
You. That's you.
That's sweet.
David Wayne Barrett asks, if you had to pick a second favorite movie genre to discuss and review, what would you choose? And could you give us some examples of your favorites from those genres?
Wow, that's a pretty good question.
Yeah, it is. And we actually talked about this when we were deciding what we were going to do. I know we talked about a few different ideas.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's action.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say too. Like, doing horror movies is so fun because it's such a broad spectrum of stuff to analyze like social issues, political issues, and all kinds of stuff with. But honestly, it's like action movies aren't even necessarily my second favorite genre. But I think they'd be the second most fun to talk about. Like, I love comedies, but like talking about comedies.
Yeah, you can't break comedy apart too much.
No, it makes it not
real
fun.
dull. Yeah.
It's like getting really good at bowling. Like the fun is sucking at it. You know what I mean? And I think like if you were trying to really pick apart and analyze comedies, I don't think it would be fun at all.
No.
Action movies, I think, would be cool.
Well, we've done
so
it.
Many.
We've done Die Hard.
Yeah,
which
a couple wild cards.
Really was fun. We did the Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, so we got a couple on there.
Yeah, action movies. I would say some of my favorite action movies. Die Hard's up there.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, Fury Road.
Without a doubt, one of the greatest.
Yeah, my wife and I saw that twice in the theater. We were so excited after seeing it the first time. It's such a great movie.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Phenomenal.
Infinity War was really great.
Yeah, the John Wick series.
Oh man, John Wick.
It's been amazing so far. Yeah. Really, really enjoyed that. So, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of our FAQ series here on Dead and Lovely. You guys be sure to drop some questions in the comment section below that we will cover on a future episode. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out a ton for you to do that, so be sure to do that. Steve, where can they follow us on them social medias?
At Dead Lovely Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can always email us at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com, and we have a Facebook group, Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast.
And don't forget to tune in to the Dead and Lovely podcast every single week on your podcast app of choice for brand new reviews of horror movies every single week of the year.
Say bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben. Quality content. Content creators.